My name is Patience LeBlanc, and I'm coming to you from Dallas, Texas. I'm a middle school teacher. I teach 8th grade in Frisco ISD, and I'm super excited to welcome Colorado Stanley British PS Middle School. And this is Unit 2 of the hearing for the National Finals Challenge. In a moment, I'm going to give the students and the judges the opportunity to introduce themselves. The students will deliver a 4-minute prepared statement, followed by 6 minutes of judges' questions. My microphone will be muted during the hearing, and I am your timer, and I'm going to be holding up the 1-minute sign and the time sign, students. I suggest that you use your gallery view rather than your speaker view. I think we mentioned that earlier. At the conclusion of the hearing, the judges will give their a brief feedback to the teams, and then we will conclude. Students, if you'd like to start by introducing yourselves first.
Hi, I'm Janie Nelsh, and I'm from Stanley British Primary School.
Hi, I'm Anna Waldron, and I'm from Stanley British Primary School.
Hi, I'm Luco Drobanek, and I'm from Stanley British Primary School.
Hi, I'm Veronica Sharp, and I'm from Stanley British Primary School.
Mike, your mute's on.
Oh,
Mike.
Mike Wesley.
Mike,
There
you go.
You're better. Luke, you're the first male student we've seen today, buddy. Myron and I feel like we're all joined in this thing now. We've had female students and no males. So welcome to the party, buddy. We're glad to see you. That's outstanding. Thank you for introducing yourselves to us. We have a lot of guests on the page this morning, your principals and your other teachers, and we're thankful for them. We also have Maria Gallo, who is the mother of this entire outfit. Maria is the national director of this competition, and this would not be happening if it was not for her hard work. So let's stop just a second before we get going. Maria's picture. Maria, would you put your picture up just for a second so we can see you just for a second? Would you give her a hand for all the hard work she's done to get us here?
Thank you. Thank you. None of this would have been possible without Mark Gage and Bob Lemmy, who's the national director of the We the People program.
Yes, but Maria takes the middle school and runs with it, and we're so thankful for her. Mike, thank you too for bringing this group to meet us this morning. Rita, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name's Rita McCann, and I'm an attorney in Huntsville, Alabama.
My name's Myron Yoder. I'm the chairman of the Professional Standards and Practices Commission for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and a 37-year teacher in the Allentown School District where I taught this program. And to my southern compatriots there, I'm north of the Mason-Dixon line.
Right, he's the only one up north. That's right. There's two people that you have to watch out for when they're judging this. Alums of the program and people who taught middle school for a long time. They know just the questions to ask, and I can tell you, after watching him all morning, he's fun to watch. Watch him when he starts asking you questions. My name is Mike Miles. I'm the treasurer of Jefferson County, Alabama. So you have 2 Alabamians and a Pennsylvanian, and then holding the time cards, you got the Texan over there. You better watch out for her. She's the one that's got all the power. Thank you for all the work you have done. My goodness, Mike and Susan and all of you. Thank you for the work you've done to get this group to us this morning. We're thankful to you. This is going to be fun. We're easy. We're just so proud y'all are doing this. We want you to teach us stuff, and we are at your disposal for the next 10 minutes. When you're, let me read you the question, and you can go. This is just so you can get ready. Why have the Magna Carta, the Petition of Right, and the English Bill of Rights been called the landmark English Charters of Liberty? What important constitutional rights did they establish? How are these 3 charters of liberty related to natural rights philosophy? How are these charters of liberty related to classical republicanism? And finally, some scholars claim that the Magna Carta perhaps has shaped the modern world more than any other document. Do you agree or disagree, and why? My goodness, if you can do that in 4 minutes, I tip my hat. You ready? You may begin.
The Magna Carta, the Petition of Right, and the English Bill of Rights have been called the landmark English Charters of Liberty because they establish the basic rights that many countries, including the U.S., use today in their governments. The Magna Carta, enacted in 1215, established the principle that everyone is subject to the law, even the king. It also guaranteed the rights of individuals, the right to justice, and the right to a fair trial. These elements can be seen in the Sixth Amendment, the Supremacy Clause, and the Bill of Rights.
The Petition of Right was created in 1628, and we now see some of the four main principles in our Constitution. No taxation without representation, no unlawful imprisonment, no quartering of soldiers, and no martial law in peacetime. It has been cited in support of the Third and Seventh Amendments. The English Bill of Rights was an act signed into law in 1689 by William III and Mary II. The bill outlined specific constitutional and civil rights and ultimately gave Parliament power over the monarchy. It is credited as being an inspiration for the U.S. Bill of Rights.
Locke wrote in his Second Treatise of Government in 1689 that all individuals are equal because they are born with certain inalienable natural rights that are God-given and can never be taken or even given away. These natural rights, Locke said, are life, liberty, and property. Locke believed that the most basic human law of nature is the preservation of mankind. To serve that purpose, individuals have both a right and a duty to preserve their own lives. The Magna Carta safeguards individual liberty, the Petition of Right provides for no martial law in peacetime, and the English Bill of Rights grants freedom to bear arms and freedom from cruel and unusual punishment.
Locke also argued that individuals should be free to make choices about how to conduct their own lives, as long as they do not interfere with the liberty of others. The Magna Carta safeguards liberty, the Petition of Right calls for no unlawful imprisonment, and the English Bill of Rights addresses freedom of speech and royal interference with the law. By property, Locke meant more than land and goods. Jefferson substituted the phrase pursuit of happiness, which Locke and others had used to describe freedom of opportunity, as well as the duty to help those in want. The Magna Carta allowed tax collectors only to take as much property as needed for debt. The Petition of Right also limited taxation, and the English Bill of Rights limited government interference in personal lives.
The Magna Carta introduced the idea of rule of law, which aligns with the idea of sacrificing freedom for the good of the community. By having rule of law, we are keeping our government and people under control and also ensuring that laws put in place are well thought out. Many of these ideas came from the classical radical wings of England, who drew their inspiration from the ruling government of ancient Rome. Petition of Right provided for the reclaiming the rights of Parliament, that is to say, giving power to those who are elected to represent the people rather than a monarch. This is true republicanism.
The Bill of Rights puts power in the hands of Parliament, and citizens allow Parliament to govern. We see this concept in Articles 1 and 2, which provide that laws should not be dispensed or suspended without the consent of Parliament. Articles 4 and 6 provide that no army should be raised in peacetime, and no taxes levied without the authority of Parliament. As a panel, we agree that the Magna Carta has shaped the modern world more than any other document.
Magna Carta, which means the Great Charter, is one of the most important documents in history, establishing the principle that everyone is subject to the law and guaranteeing the rights of individuals, the right to justice, and the right to a fair trial. Magna Carta created the idea of limited government, which we have and use today in the United States. The document is so revered that on May 1st, 2015, the U.S. courts honored the Magna Carta and the influence it has on our country, specifically the principle of rule of law.
We are now open for questions.
Well, your essay was out of this world. That was just terrific. I'd love to get a copy of it and just sit and look at it again slowly. There's got a lot of stuff in it. You're going to get better questions from us, I think, because of how good that essay was. We know where the rights arose. We know the documents that they rose from. We know why the people that wrote our documents came over. They wanted away from the king. They wanted the right to do some things that they felt like they couldn't do over there. We know where they came from. Have they arrived 240 years after we wrote our documents? If one of you gets a job at the same place Luke does, do you know for sure that you're going to get paid the same amount of money per hour or per month that he is paid? Do you know that for sure? Do you know that your rights to privacy and other things like that are as pronounced and provided for and assured to you as his or mine might be to me? We know where they came from. Do you feel like you as a young woman, I'm going to ask the three women on the panel, not any one of you in particular, do you think your rights have arrived? Do you think you have the rights that you need to be protected now?
I think that in a way I have rights the same as men, but I still feel that we're still getting there. And America is still working on that. And we have the rights written and they're there, but it's also in society that we're working on to give us rights. And we're still learning. And I don't think women have as many opportunities as men still. So I feel as a young woman that I don't have as many rights, but I think that we're going to get there.
Well, the optimism is encouraging to me. Miss Rita, you're grinning. You want to respond to that?
I'm glad she's saying that. We got the right to vote in large part because of all these documents and the trickle down thereafter. But do you think we've had enough women elected to public office?
No, I don't think that we have. And although women have fought for so many rights, like just being able to vote, we're still fighting to be elected more and be in these higher positions because these rights have come to us later than they have came from men.
I'm going to take you in a little bit of a different direction. You talked about the natural rights of life, liberty, property, and then eventually we use the word pursuit of happiness. And they're all natural, but what happens when they're in conflict with each other? Like right now, we have protests in front of capitals saying, we want to open up, we want to pursue our happiness, we want our right to liberty, and yet I'm concerned about my life, which they could threaten by doing what they're doing. So which of those rights do you think trumps the other? Not to borrow the president's name, life, liberty, or pursuit of happiness?
I think all three are real major, and they all have their own like specific positions. And now with common good, the government is closing down stores and putting us all in lockdown for common good, for the greater good of our country. And I don't think that one specifically is greater than the other, but I think that.
What about when they're in conflict? I mean, by potentially exposing me to the virus in your protests, aren't you threatening my life? Should
yes.
Guard. So which right do you think is more important when it comes in conflict with each other?
Well, currently, I think that life is the most important because you don't have the other rights if you're not living. And so I think life goes above all others.
Okay. Rita, Mike, before I get another one in.
I was looking, it looked like Anna might have an answer. Anna, were you?
I agree with my panel mate. I think all of them are really important, but I agree with my panel mate in saying that life, like currently, life goes above the other two natural rights.
Myron, go ahead. Keep going. Keep going.
Okay. Then if that's the case, how do you perceive the protesters? I mean, you talked about the Magna Carta and those rights, talking about weapons, talking about troops. So they're standing up there with AK-47s, armed to the teeth, protesting in government buildings, outside government buildings. Do you think they're simply saying, I'm just showing I have the Second Amendment right to hold them? Or do you think they're making a veiled threat? Do you think they're saying, hey, if I don't get what I want, I'm ready to go out into battle? Does that fear you, or do you think there's anything there we should be concerned about?
I mean, I think it is them displaying their Second Amendment rights, but it does have the, it does kind of, because they are weapons of destruction and weapons designed to kill, it does have a implication that they are very dangerous, and there is that kind of possibility kind of veiled there.
Anybody else? I appreciated, you talked about the sacrificing of government for the community good. And you made wonderful connections between the two. And yet the documents that we're talking about, both in America and overseas, the British, are documents that were for the privileged, the wealthy, the men. So that being said, didn't we really elect a female president only to have it taken away by an electoral college that was originally for the
Make it a yes and no. Myron, make it a yes and no, and give anyone a shot that wants a yes or a no to do it.
Well, it's basically, do you agree with the electoral college? But time's up anyway.
You want to do a yes or anybody that wants a yes or no on whether you agree with it?
Anybody want to make a quick comment on that?
Sure.
No.
Wait a minute. What was the question again?
Do they agree or disagree with the electoral college? And I said, do yes or no. And Luke said, no. That was pretty good.
Okay.
Oh,
Monica may want to vote.
Just making sure he answered the way I wanted him to.
Monica, you were about to answer, weren't you, I think?
Kind of.
Kind.
disagree with the electoral college.
Bless your heart.
Yeah.
You gotta tell this panel has opinions. Here's an opinion from this panel for you. Y'all did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
An opinion from, hey, Mark Gates just joined us. He's the IT guy that put all this together. Hey, buddy, how are you this morning?
Good, I'm doing great. How's everybody here?
It's fine. He's the one that put the Zoom stuff together. So I know y'all know all about this. Us old folks didn't know quite as much about Zoom, but Mark ignored that. Got it so we could do it, and we're thankful to him. So he's dropped in with us, and we're glad. And Maria had to run it. A couple of things that I would say back to you really quick. Your essay was terrific. I think I said as it ended, one of the times, Myron, I'd love to get a copy of the essay and just sit real still in my chair and read it through, because I thought it was really well constructed. And part of what I liked about it is the second thing I would say, and that is you answered the question. A lot of times we read a complicated question to you, and a school will read us 4 minutes of unconnected data that's very useful, helpful data that doesn't really address the question that was asked. And over in your essay, you were speaking to parts of the question we had just read to you. And the fact that you would address the question, and then when we would ask you follow-up questions, rather than going off on a filibuster, you answered what we asked you, and I was grateful for it. Also, this is a small thing until you have to do it. Most panels are 3 people on the panel. To have a 4-person panel and divide the time in the essay, Patience is nodding her head, to divide the time in the essay, and Myron, I think the time in the Q&A as evenly as you did is not easy. One of the things that you get points for is participation. That is that all of you took part, and you did. And I'm very, very thankful to you for that. I want one thing I'm going to say to you before we go, but that's the most things I wanted to say about how you handled it. I think we got opinionated with you a little bit at the end because we care about these things too. And we're frustrated that our generation hasn't managed to get it fixed. So we're kind of looking to you to help fix some of this stuff, Veronica, so we don't have to worry about it too much longer. Ms. Rita, you want to tell them something?
I'm just so proud that you chose to prepare, to spend this time with your teachers, to spend this time preparing and to learn what all you had to learn. I'm very grateful for the Magna Carta, but that, you know, I think I skipped that in law school. I just didn't want to have to delve that hard. I'm not kidding. It's very complicated and difficult. And I'm just so impressed on a day that you could be out in the sun and you could be out doing other things. You chose to not only compete, but to come share with us. And I'm real grateful because y'all are bright and you have so much ahead of you, and you were willing to share that with us today. Thank you.
I'd like to repeat that as well. I mean, I hope that when you do compete in the high school level, and I do hope you compete, that you maintain the same poise, calm, collected presentation. A lot of times we hear they run a mile a minute with their voice to try to get everything in as quickly as they could, but you were very measured in what you said. You spoke very clearly, eloquently, and slowly. Don't lose that, because that's very powerful, and you did a really good job of that. I wish I could have pursued further, as you could see. I thought you guys did a wonderful job. I had a great time listening to it. Your opening statement was really wonderful. And a lot of food for thought there that we have to go, because it still applies to us today. Now, I do have to say, and I want to thank all those parents hiding behind curtains, behind the computer on the other side, in the rooms next to you, listening to Under the Doors or having a stethoscope on the wall. Thank you very much for having your students here today and working with them. And your teachers, you prepared them very well. Good job, and thank you for being there.
Yeah, let me add 2 words as we go. One of them is that Colorado is a very successful and regarded school in this national competition. The quality of the middle school and high school teams that you bring is anticipated by the judges. We know to look and watch for you because the quality is always so high. And I think besides the students' devotion, Mike, I've said this a couple times today, excuse me, the greatest gift a person can have is the gift of a good teacher. And clearly, they've been well taught by a number of people on a number of subjects. I want to say one more thing before we go. There are a lot of teachers in this country who might try this, who don't get to try it because their principal won't give them a class period to work on it or the opportunity to spend time doing it. And I don't know the principals at your school. I've never had the privilege of meeting them. But if this consistent quality of performance by the students at Stanley British is any indication, hopefully it appears there's somebody in the administration that understands and appreciates the value of this. I hope that you're getting the support that it appears to us you are, because it really pays off. And I think you can tell how much we appreciate what your students did today.
Let's give them one more round of applause. Perfect. Oh,
Good luck the rest of the day.